Welcome back to my SvelteKit series. In this video, we'll learn about SvelteKit routing. In SvelteKit, every subfolder in the routes folder is a route. For example, let's create two routes, about and portfolio. So we do this by going to the source folder, then routes, then create new folder called about, then another folder called portfolio. And of course, we have also the root route, which is here. I deleted its content, but I can write home. Notice how Vite updated the compilation of the component, which is using the hot module reloading that I told you about in the first video. Now let's try to access the about and portfolio routes and see what's going to happen. So we are in the home page. Now let's access the about route. And if you look here, we have a 404 not found, which you might be asking yourself, why are we getting this error if we already created the routes? The reason is that we need to tell SvelteKit what to render when we visit the route. And this brings us to the special SvelteKit files. Every route subfolder in SvelteKit contains special SvelteKit files, which are prefixed with the plus sign. There are three special SvelteKit files: the plus page, plus layout, and plus error. Let's talk about the first one, the page file. Every route needs a page component. This component defines the page that will get rendered when the route is accessed. So let's go ahead and create the page for the about and home routes. So I just wrote any content in the about page about the stocks application that we are going to create. And then in the home page, I can also put any content. Now that we created a page component for the about page and updated the content of the home page, let's go and access them. So you can see here, when I access the about page, it updated. Now it doesn't give me the 404 page anymore because we just created a page for the about route. And if you also access the home page, it also updated. It is very frequent that a page will need to load some data before it can be rendered. To do that, inside the route where we want to load the data before rendering the page, next to the page component, we add a plus page.ts module. This page.ts file exports a load function which will load the needed data before the page gets rendered. For example, we can add a load function in the portfolio route by creating a page.ts here, then write the load function. In this example, the load function returns an array of stock tickers. In reality, it would fetch the stocks from an API or from a database, but for the sake of illustration, I'm just returning a hard-coded array of stock tickers, which are Tesla, Apple, and Microsoft. And always, not just in this example, the return type of the load function is the page load type. This type can be found in the types file, which is automatically generated by SvelteKit. Now, in the portfolio routes, we can add the page. Now we want to create the portfolio page and load the stocks data. For the page to get the loaded data, the page needs to export the data property, which is of type page data, which is also gotten from the type store. This way we can access the stocks field from the data. Now if you save this and check the portfolio route, you can see that Tesla, Apple, and Microsoft are returned. It's important to note that the load function will run alongside page.svelte, so these two will run together, but the page.ts will load the data before this page is rendered. So this means that the load function will run on the server side during server-side rendering, but also in the browser during client-side navigation. Now, if you want the load function to run only on the server, for example, to get data from a database, then you do this by renaming the page.ts file into page.server.ts. But the type of the data loaded by the server will be page server load instead of page load. Now, if you save this and go back to the browser and refresh, we see that the data is still the same and that the route is rendered properly. But the difference is that this data is fetched only in the server and is never loaded in the client. But in this video, we won't need a server-only load function, so let's undo what we did and rename the file to page.ts. Now that we know what pages are, in the next video, we will discuss the second type of special SvelteKit files, which is the layout file.